All right, welcome back into Bettor's Last Stand, Episode 3. Matt, Mark, and Luke here with you. Guys, not as much going on sports-wise this weekend as last weekend as far as exciting finishes or weird outcomes and stuff, but a lot of things in the news, especially today, breaking this morning, Deshaun Watson, 6-game suspension. We haven't talked about the AFC North yet, but we'll be previewing them here in a week or so, and that's obviously big news. It's going to be interesting to see if the NFL goes along with that or they try to push for a longer sentence, so to speak, or whatever becomes of it. But definitely the top thing in the news right now today, and then the Mlb Trade Deadline, obviously a huge thing. Guys are going right now as we speak, and expect a lot more on the way. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think the trade deadline will be tomorrow at 6, right?
Yeah,
tomorrow
6 p.m. Eastern.
That'd be, Tuesday at 6.
Yeah, Tuesday. So be
Tuesday at 6. So when this airs, the trade deadline will be over,
and
I'm sure that there's going to be some big names going, and our Pirates, I'm sure they'll sell out some guys again.
Yeah, biggest name so far, Josh Hader just went to the Padres just right before we came on here. So
okay, so that's
a lot more stuff to happen like that.
So the Angels are keeping Ohtani as well.
And the Yankees made a big push for Ohtani too. Apparently, they put together a hell of an offer, but the Angels decided to keep him. So
now, do you guys think Juan Soto will for sure be gone?
I don't know about for sure. I just feel like with a guy that's that young and still has years on his contract, it's not the Nationals don't have to trade him right now. They have time. Like, they can figure out what deal is going to be best for them. It would just be silly for them to just rush it and try. It'd be different if he was done after this year and they were going to lose him or whatever. But he's got years on his contract. He's super young. I don't feel like they have to make a move yet, but most likely it sounds like they will.
Are the Yankees pushing for him?
Yankees, Mets, yeah. Padres were in on him too, I guess.
Actually, I got an alert. I heard it was a three-team race, and I heard the Yankees were not one of them in the race.
I would doubt the Yankees do it. I really do. They'd really have to deplete their farm system, and they hitting's really not their issue.
Right.
I mean, if you can't hit with that lineup they have, my goodness. I mean, I'd say a team like the Padres or the Mets. I mean, I find it strange that they would trade him in division, though. I find that to be just crazy for the Nationals. If they want to have to deal with him for years to come, as if the Mets haven't, got enough giant free agent signings in the last couple of years, and they're spending tons of money. I mean, you get Soto over there, then they become an instant contender.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what goes down with that, what goes down with Deshaun Watson. Any interesting things from the betting world from you guys on the weekend? I mean, I kind of had a pretty average weekend. I think I said this to Jubb on Friday. I think I was the only one that did Pine Room picks last week. I made the poor guy work. I was the only one.
Yeah,
nobody else sent him in.
Yeah, we got to get cranking that back up.
I was 11-6 though. So if you followed the plays,
good.
I did okay. So
okay, well we had to crank those back up again. I've sort of slipped on those the last couple of weeks.
We've been pretty busy, and just to go over a few things from our weekend overall, we had a really cool show at River City on Friday. The whole Pine Room group was there. Thanks to those guys, it was really, really good time. Saw a lot of people, a lot of supporters of ours out. It was a good night getting the Italian festival kicked off. So we had fun with that. Just a reminder, follow us on the social media at the Pine Room Podcast. You can check out our shop. I got the new Bettor's Last Stand shirt on today. For those of you watching on YouTube, Jubb, great job with that. Love the Ravens purple color. I knew Luke probably wants to punch me wearing that, but in a few weeks he might actually do that. So anyway, contact at the Pine Room Podcast. You can email us anything you want to tell us about the show, whether it's the actual podcast or this show here, Bettor's Last Stand. And as I mentioned, thepineroomshop.com. Get your Champ shirt, Champ's handwritten signature shirt, as Joe called it. It's a beauty, and it's something to behold, actually. So.
And we've got a really exciting thing coming up on Monday, so make sure you tune in to WKKX. And what's the other station it's on? Or is it just KKX?
No, it's
WVOY.
VOY, yeah, WVOY. And I meant to write those call letters down. But, yeah, we're going to be doing a show, the Pine Room Podcast on WKKX, the Watchdog. Really exciting. Soup did an awesome job today talking on Seth Stasky's show to pump us up a little bit, get us ready for that. And thanks to Rocky and Kayleen and Howard down there at WKKX for everything they've done for us so far. They're as excited about it as we are, it sounds like. And I thought Soup did awesome today, pumping us up, talking about the show. Going to be a high school and local sports concentration. So whereas this one we're talking about betting from the wider perspective, we're gonna narrow it down to a more localized content. And you're still gonna get a lot of betting stuff, but it's gonna be zeroed in. We got Luke over here, the high school guru, so we're gonna be fun having the three of us on there, and then we'll be joined by Soup, Jarrett, whoever else from time to time each week, and should be pretty exciting, guys.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
I think Job's got those.
Just for anybody that doesn't know, WKKX is FM 98.1 and AM 1600, and WVLY is 97.7 and AM 1370.
And
thank you, Joe.
Soup will be coming on several more times. I'm not exactly sure what shows he'll be on, but he will be talking about the Pine Room podcast on Monday several more times before we go on. But that's going to be exciting, and I want to send a special thanks to all the people that are listening to Bettor's Last Stand. Hope you're enjoying it. Hope maybe you pick up a tip or two and maybe throw a few bucks on some of our better plays that we like, and hopefully they come through for you. And we're gonna talk about the couple new conferences today. One in the NFL, the NFC South, and in the college ranks. One of my favorite conferences. I really like this conference. I don't know. There's a lot of tradition in it with with Florida State, with Clemson, who was national champs. 3 years ago?
Yeah,
3 years ago.
They had a run where they were in the final game for several years. In the playoff at least.
Miami of Florida, who is and dear to Matt's heart. Now they've struggled here lately, but they've got a lot of tradition. As
right.
They were very, very good back in the day, and I think with their new coach, they're going to be back, I think, in prominence. So we're talking about the ACC, by the way, which Luke mentioned earlier before we came on. It seems like there's a lot of teams in the ACC, and actually there are 14 teams in the ACC.
You know it's weird, and I cannot get over this. Every single time I try to either do ACC research for betting, for this show, for anything, it still bothers me that Maryland's not in the ACC.
Yeah, I know.
Look at Maryland, I'm
weird.
I'm starting to pull their stuff, and I'm like, they're not here anymore. They're in the damn Big Ten.
They just don't. To me, they don't fit in the Big Ten.
No, they don't. These are rival teams they have here.
Yes.
The rivalries that they had with Duke and Florida State and Virginia and North Carolina, it's in basketball and football. It's just weird to me.
I think the ACC is going to be, and we're going to talk about this after the break, but I think the ACC is going to be much improved. I think the top half of each division is going to be pretty good. I think there are going to be some really weak teams, though.
Yeah,
in the bottom half.
The bottom feeders are going to
be very bad.
But you're right. There's some new coaches taking over.
Yes.
You got a lot of excitement. You got some guys saying this is the best recruiting class they've ever had.
Yeah.
You got NC State with bringing back like 1,000 COVID seniors for like their 6th or 7th year. So yeah, in your Wake Forest Demon Deacons coach, I think you're kind of high on that.
I think that's what the ACC is known for. To be honest, I think they're known for. Like you'll have like a year where you'll have like 5 teams that are just very experienced. They'll have a bunch of seniors and they'll be really good. And then after that, they kind of go in a downfall. But they'll be good every other 4 years because they're really experienced with seniors and stuff.
That's a good observation, Luke. I agree with that. It does seem like every 5-6 years, Wake Forest has a good wave, a good run. Virginia, Louisville had that run for a while with
Lamar
Jackson.
I think West Virginia would fit perfect in that conference. I think that is just for fan purposes too, and for traveling purposes, and in that league, they've always had a tradition with Pitt.
Oh, rivals,
Virginia Tech was a long time rival.
Miami, BC. All those Big East teams. Yeah.
To me, I think that's the best.
Even
fit
Syracuse. Remember that run they had with Syracuse, Marvin Graves, and those guys. Wow, those were some games.
We had some tough games in the Carrier Dome. That was very tough. But I think West Virginia would fit just perfect in the ACC, and there's still been talk about that, with all the movement that's going on. But anyway, we're going to have some fun talking about the ACC. I've got some really picks that I like, some future picks in the ACC. I'm sure you guys have some too. So, before we talk about that, let's talk a little bit about the past weekend, the race.
Race. What a wild finish there. For those of you who didn't see that, Indianapolis road course in NASCAR on Sunday. Just wreck after wreck at the end. Turn things upside down. We run a NASCAR board every week at the Warwood Vets, and you have numbers on there, and you could be sitting pretty with 2 laps left. I think it was 4 laps left, and I said to Coach, I'm winning both of these. I'm winning the first and second prize, and we both said no chance this will hang on.
And I ended up winning.
Yeah,
I ended up winning it. Yeah,
you did.
But that was interesting. All those restarts. For those of you who like NASCAR, or those of you who don't, obviously when there's an accident. And they throw out the caution flag, there's a restart, which bunches all the cars back up and really actually makes it fun.
Right.
Because especially if the race is getting boring and there's no movement.
And with the overtime rules.
And so then guys at the end are really fighting to, get positions. Right. And in a road course, they're 4 or 5 wide trying to get through an S turn that's impossible.
It's like going down your guy's hill out here.
Right.
There's like 5 cars wide.
5 cars, lined up side by side, and they're trying to get through, and there's absolutely no way. And you're just hoping your guy that you have either bet on or having a pool isn't in the middle of that. And I had Chase Elliott and a couple of matchups, and I was looking really good, and he was actually in second and just got spun. And
isn't that amazing? Is Elliott's trying to cut into the lead of who was he chasing down? Reddick.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And you're thinking, all right, this is the way this is going to end. Yes. And then some other guy blows a tire and stuffs out on the track, and here comes a caution, and then here we go. And then there's a caution on a restart, and then a restart again, and another caution. And it was crazy. And the thing about NASCAR, Coach, that I like and enjoy about it is you can get interesting finishes like that. You can hit some pretty good tickets when you're betting. You can take advantage of some good value on whether it's outrights to win the race or top 3s or top 5s, matchups. You can parlay those matchups. They're almost like little games within a game or within the race. So NASCAR is fun to bet. I mean, you're never really done, because if you have your guy and he's running, and the guy you're against, he could blow up, he could crash, but it also works the other way. You could be marking L's by your guy. I think you had maybe Almirola or somebody yesterday. He was out real fast. You put an L by that, and there's no way that you can't undo that, because once he's down at 36, there's nobody going to be worse than him as the laps.
Once you
away.
See the hook come out, it's your guy. Like Kyle Larson yesterday. Once the tow truck backs up to them, you can put an L by it, unless it's late in the race and he had a good run. But
and the tires have been a really interesting story this year in NASCAR. Just the amount of blown tires that these guys have sustained is incredible. Every single week you got guys blowing apart. We had guys with brake failures yesterday. Just crazy stuff. So those of you who don't follow NASCAR a lot, you might want to give it a look. You got Formula One racing this past week. Guy, one of the best racers in the Formula One circuit, Max Verstappen, he actually probably is the legitimate best, was 9-1. He started 10th, which is rare. Guy wins from 10th, and got a great price on him. He's usually a -110, -120 favorite every week to win the race, and this week he was 9-1. So you had that going down. You had women's European soccer finished up. England beat Germany. You had my favorite Aussie rules. You had Canadian football. We had a tough one last night. Our Toronto Argonauts coach couldn't get going at all.
No, they were up 20-16, and they scored right before half, and that sort of put the kibosh on us.
Yeah, Jubb's Ottawa Red Blacks were just too tough for us to overcome.
Luke, do you like NASCAR, Luke?
I've never really been a fan, to be honest.
Never gotten into it.
No.
Yeah. Well,
it's an acquired taste.
Here's the funny thing. I wasn't either, and these guys took me to a race in Charlotte. That was the very first race. His dad and some of the other guys that used to go to NASCAR all the time, and I went to Charlotte and got down by the track, and they passed me one time, and I was sold. I said, "This is incredible." So that's going to be a road trip, I believe, for the Pine Room one day. We're either going to go to Dover. Maybe Dover or
Bristol.
Maybe,
yeah. Those are 2 great tracks. And Luke, once you get there and you see it, you'll probably you might not like it, but you'll have an appreciation for it, and you'll say, "Well, it's pretty neat in person. Just the colors and just the sound and then
the
speed."
When they come by you at 170 miles an hour, and they're you couldn't put this bottle between the bumpers.
Right.
I mean, it's unbelievable what the talent they have driving. It's
Now, do you guys think you guys could do like finish a race with no one else racing with you at 170 miles per hour around those turns and stuff?
No, especially on those bank speedways. I don't know if I could get my car going fast enough where I could be able to handle it, because if you don't go fast enough on a lot of those bank speedways, your car will roll over.
Yes.
Like it's you have to be going fast to keep up to stay on the banking. Then you got the road courses, and you go around those. I mean, that would be kind of like driving around here, I guess.
And I think Jubb, one of your I think a little bucket list for you is to go in one of those cars. You pay to go on those
Daytona
experience things.
Or the Richard Petty driving school thing.
Don't you want to do that job some point?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Well, you know what I would see. What would happen with you is you'd probably ride in the car, and usually they'll have like a veteran driver or somebody retired take you around the track at first. You do a ride along, but you probably prefer a monkey drive.
Yeah.
I didn't know where that was heading.
Next to me.
Yeah. Or you could drive him around, one of the two. I think that sounds like a good pairing right there. But let's see. What else? Anything else interesting that was sports-wise?
Well, I think
Pirates suck again.
Yeah, the Pirates, and Jared called that. He said, because I have that future bet of them under 65.5 wins, and it looks like now there's a legitimate chance I might get to that because they're going to dump some guys, and it's just one of those things where they're playing different guys every night, and there's no continuity with their lineup, and their pitching is very, very suspect, and they're just, they've got some good young guys, but in my opinion, there's no plan. There's no. They say they have a plan.
Right.
I'd love to know what the plan is because I've heard talks of Bednar maybe going. Quintana, Luke, we talked about him. He hasn't gone yet, has he?
I'm surprised. He had a great start last start too.
He'll definitely go.
Yes.
I don't see any way he doesn't go. I'd be shocked if he didn't.
They do this every year though. They go they'll be before the All-Star break. They'll be doing they'll be on like a 5-game winning streak, and after the All-Star break, everything just I don't know.
Apart.
I don't know if they don't get enough sleep or practice, but it just everything falls apart. And I saw a tweet the other day of a dad on Twitter. He said, "My son's crying right now because the Pirates just lost, and he's tired of having a bad team." He said, "What do I tell him?"
Well, son, you got about 30 more years of this misery at least until the Nuttings die or give the team up. I don't see any way around it.
It's not going to change. And we were diehard. I was a diehard Pirate fan. My whole day would be planned around getting everything done to come and watch the Pirates.
You and my dad. It's amazing how much of a difference it's been since they were in 14, 15. My dad doesn't even watch them hardly.
I don't ever watch them.
And you guys watched every single inning. Like it was every inning.
Like I said, I play in my day. I hurry. I've got all my work done, got dinner out of the way, got everything cleaned up, so I could sit down and really be excited. I'm talking excited to watch the Pirates and really get into it. Even the late night games when they're in San Francisco or L.A., I'd try to stay up and watch those and then anxiously await in the morning to see the score.
Now you rather watch Netflix at night, like my dad and mom are doing right now instead of watching the Pirates. It's
right,
sad.
And what's sad is now I bet against them because I know they're so bad. I root against them instead of being.
But that's what you call being loyal to your wallet and being smart, using your brain. Don't get. And here's another lesson for those of you just starting out into the betting. You can't bet with your heart. It never works. All three of us here have been guilty of it from time to time, guaranteed. But you have to try to fight those demons and say, I'm either not. And I try to practice this too, and especially when it like Miami football. I don't bet a lot of their games. Maybe sometimes I'll bet totals if I feel really comfortable about it. But it just gets you into trouble because you're doubly pissed off if they lose. So it's definitely a lesson you want to learn. Don't bet on your favorite team very often. It can be miserable.
And we've got some guys here that hang in the Pine Room that have favorite teams that it doesn't matter what the line is, who they're playing, they're going to bet them.
And Luke's pretty good about this with Notre Dame, but like some of our guys, they'll steer you down the road. You're going down on the sinking ship with them. I mean, hey coach, let's bet the Jags over the win total.
And you can't bet them even if they feel like it's because you feel like they're betting them just because they like.
I mean, it's just wishful thinking.
Yeah, it's what it is. So you can't lay any stock in what a guy says about his favorite team. It just
no.
Even if he's honest about it and true and is realistic, he's still in his heart.
You're right, and even on the other side of that, like there's plenty of times I'll tell you, I think Miami will get killed today. They stink and they'll win or something. So it clouds your judgment. Occasionally I'll feel good about a total in a game with Miami football, but yeah, it's Luke. How do you feel about that? You probably don't want to give Notre Dame as a recommendation too often, but sometimes though you've been pretty spot on. You feel good when they're gonna win easy.
Yeah, it's just I have a love for them so much.
Sure.
So like betting them just makes it more fun. But also I've had games when I was young I would cry. It was rough because they can't win a big game. So
no, I understand. I understand all too well. So all right, well, anything else to touch on from the weekend, guys? Anything that stood out?
Not much else. Just baseball's starting to. Your good teams are starting to run away and play better now. And obviously your bad teams. Other than there are a few surprises. The Orioles showed flashes of being decent for a while. The Reds played a little bit better, but in the long run, it's all going to wash out.
Yeah, and you're starting to see these favorites start to cover these run lines every night. Those of you who don't understand the run line, that's -1.5. The team is favored in the game will be -1.5 every night. The underdog obviously be +1.5, so you got to win by 2 runs to cover the run line, and you'll start to see teams every night. You'll get people betting the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Dodgers, all -1.5. So you see a lot of that. People were cashing in pretty good on those the last few
And the
weeks.
reason you bet the 1.5 for
better
everybody.
return,
Yeah, you get better odds. Obviously, if you're betting the Dodgers and playing the Royals, you're going to pay astronomical money. Now, here's a stat that I was telling Matt yesterday that I saw that the Dodgers in the first half of the season were a $3 favorite, which is a huge favorite 6 times. 7 times before the break, a $3 plus favorite. So you have to put up $300 just to win $100, $3 just to win $1, and that's big money. That's very, very risky. And they were 1-6 in those straight up bets that they were $3 plus. And just look at the Pirates.
I know
the Pirates went out there and were massive underdogs and swept the Dodgers.
They were almost $4 underdogs.
Yeah,
one
swept the Dodgers. So those were 3 of the losses that the Dodgers had.
That might haunt you.
Well, I hope
hopefully not.
Because I have the Dodgers over their win total, which is 97. They're projected to win like 107 now, and then the Pirates under 65.
Laying $3 in baseball to me is just
too risky.
It's not worth doing. No. You lose one of those games, you're behind. Like you're better off taking a shot on a +120 dog that you kind of like, or teams that are even -110, even -120. Find a game each night that maybe you say, you know what, here's some value on this team. Maybe this guy's good at home. Whatever the pitching matchup may be, you may like, but. So I advise people to not be betting those types of games, because then you also get into putting them in parlays, and you might have 4 of them in, and then the 5th one costs you, and it happens all the time. When you work where I work, you see it every day. People just, the Yankees, they can't lose the night they're playing the Royals. So here you go. And I mean, it's baseball. There's a reason they play 162 games, and like Coach has said, the better teams are starting to rise to the top now. This is about the time where, like they say, the cream rises to the top. And if you keep playing the good teams keep playing the bad, eventually they're going to win out. But you can't take that chance on a nightly basis. You're what we talked about I think it was last week about bankroll management. Just you crush your bankroll when you bet the Yankees -330 or the Dodgers -325, and some of those games. Somebody was up in Toronto a couple of weeks ago, and they couldn't bring some of their players, the Royals or somebody. I think that Toronto ended up being like a 440 favorite, and they got beat in the game.
I remember that.
I think it was Kansas City. They couldn't take anybody up there.
Yes.
And they had a COVID outbreak, and you're like, this is guaranteed winner. The Blue Jays will win this game. But as Coach will tell you, baseball, there's no real guarantees.
Baseball is really difficult to bet, in my opinion. I mean, they're all difficult to bet. Right. There's no doubt. But baseball is, well, again, it's because there's 162 games, too. Yeah. I mean, in football, you're 17 weeks, 18 weeks now, but and you're only betting 18 times on each team. But if you're betting baseball, you're and the odds stacked against you, you're not going to be happy a lot of nights.
Luke, do you have any opinions on? You were talking last week about first innings. Do you have any opinions this past weekend, or any crazy things that happened to you?
No, I've been kind of waiting till the trade deadline's over just so I can finalize things, just to see where teams are at. But these things just have me a mess. I got to give up on them, but they look so good.
Yeah, I know. Well, I can't wait till the playoffs roll around. Major League Baseball playoffs, awesome time of the year when you get into October. And I know Coach and I many times will be texting each other about how we bet no run in the first inning, and we just get slaughtered with those things. And a lot of times in those playoff games, there will be a run in the first inning, and then it'll go like 7 straight innings without a run. So the pitcher settles
inevitable. So we're this coming Saturday. We're only 3 weeks away from college football.
Yeah, we got the Hall of Fame game this August 4th. Jets Raiders or Jags Raiders.
Yes, and it'll be 5 weeks from Sunday for the NFL, 3 weeks from this Saturday for the colleges, and we were trying to get who's the girl that we're trying to get on the show?
Lauren the Bettor.
Lauren the Bettor. Yeah, I don't know if anybody out there knows her, but she
we were going to have her on today, but something else happened. Their social media got hacked or something, so
I guess
she wasn't able to get back.
She's becoming
she's getting very popular. She was, so hopefully all's well with her. But we'll try again for her.
She didn't like my UCLA.
Yeah, she was. She went hard on the other side of that.
Faded UCLA
under was a big play.
That's what makes it fun too. The little fun arguments of why you think, why this guy thinks, what do you think, why do you think they're going to go under, schedules, all that. That's what makes gambling fun. And again, if you can keep it, bet within your means, keep it fun, lay your head on a pillow at the end of the night and not worry about paying your bills, just have fun, and you went through a day and just had a lot of ups and downs and cheers and heckling each other. And if you make a few bucks, great. If you don't lose your bankroll. Just have fun with it. Bet smart.
Hopefully, at least came out even. So
yeah, right.
But we're gonna do a little bit of that, talking about the ACC here after we take a quick break. You're listening to Bettor's Last Stand.
Reminder: Bettor's Last Stand is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activity should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. You're watching Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back into Bettor's Last Stand, Episode 3. We are going to dive into the Atlantic Coast Conference here, guys. As Coach was mentioning earlier, a lot of good rivalries here. Got some teams with some experienced rosters, some new coaches, lots of interesting stuff. So let's not waste any time and go to the team that really had a down year for them last year, and it was pretty much all because of their offense. Because watching their defense play, I kind of felt bad for them. They would get 3 and out after 3 and out after 3 and out, and their offense would go 3 and out after 3 and out. It was painful to watch. As the young sophomore DJ, help me out, Luke.
Uiagalelei.
Okay, yeah. I thought I could do it, but
former Notre Dame Irish.
Who?
DJ, is that what did you say that, Luke?
No, that he made his first start.
First start against them.
First start.
Yeah. Remember when?
That's right. Yeah.
When
Lawrence got COVID.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence had COVID the week of that Notre Dame game, and he played pretty solid.
He played really well.
But he also had an experienced line. He had Travis Etienne. He had receivers that were good.
John Ross.
Yes. Yeah. He had a lot of experienced weapons last year. Not so much. It was tough for him. For them, their defense was good enough to win it all. I find them to be incredibly difficult to find a team that's going to be able to dethrone them as the ACC champs, although they didn't win it last year. Pitt kind of was fortunate that they had a down year and it was able to cash in. But I like Clemson right now. They're about minus 120 to win the league. I don't find any team that can stack up against them. If their offense gets back to just even par, I feel like they're too tough. What do you guys?
Yeah, I mean they had 10 wins on a down season. So yeah, I think it's all based on their offense, and we'll see. They open up at Georgia Tech. I don't think Georgia Tech's going to be good at all.
No.
But if they struggle offensively against them,
right,
and then there's going to be a lot of
questions.
And
they do have, and Luke, you may know his name. I don't.
Cade Klubnik.
Yeah,
that's one of my hot takes. I think he'll take over.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Any type of bad start by DJ he's going to Dabo basically is trying to make it sound like it's a competition already because he's kind of bracing the Clemson. I think the fans, the team. I don't think he's going to mess around. He'll make the move as soon as he has to.
Yeah, and they lost. Clemson lost both their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Venables went to Oklahoma, and Tony Elliott went to Virginia, head coach. So that's always question marks when you lose those two. But I'm with you, Matt. I think they'll be the cream of the crop. Even though I think they'll get challenged. I think they'll get challenged a little bit.
What do you think as far as win total, guys? 10.5. I find it hard to think they're not getting to 11. It may come down to your team, Luke.
I know, that's what I think.
Yeah.
This defense, though, with Brian Brzee, Miles Murphy, Tyler Davis, Xavier Thomas on that front, it's going to be tough for the offensive line to handle them. And also Will Shipley, who's returning at the running back position. He was highly talented out of high school. And they got weapons at the receiver position. You just don't know about them yet. And
right.
They'll make their impact.
And a lot of their guys last year, I thought, it just didn't. It was almost like you could see it on the receivers' faces that they knew they weren't going to get the ball where they needed to get it, or the ball wasn't going to be on target. They just kind of gave up in games, I thought. And then when you lose a player like Travis Etienne, he did so much for them in the passing game and the running game. He was just a one-man show, and they had Trevor Lawrence. But, I mean, Travis Etienne would easily have been the best player on any team other than Clemson in the country when he was there. Basically a 4-year starter. That's a lot to overcome. But I expect them to be dominant on defense, Luke, like you said, that those defensive front players that you just mentioned, a lot of people think they'll all be first-round picks.
Yeah.
So, a lot of talent there. I find it hard to say that they wouldn't get over 10.5.
Their big test. They got to go to Wake week 5. Week 4.
Right.
They go to Florida State. I think Florida State's going to be better. That's going to be a test. They obviously go to Notre Dame, and that's probably the only game they're the early underdog in.
No, actually, they're 2 or 3 point
they're
favorites.
-2 is what I saw.
Oh, they are
on the road in that game.
Okay. I know early they were.
No, it was. People opened that they thought Notre Dame may be favored in that game, but
and then Miami.
They'll get Miami at home, and Miami has not played well against them, and it'll be hard for Miami to move the ball against them. I don't know. We'll see what kind of a season they have going at that point.
And Clemson was good when they had like Dexter Lawrence on that defensive line. They had 2 or 3 first-round picks when they won the national championship on that defensive line. They have in this team this year, I think they got 2 or 3 first-round picks on this defensive line. So I think that's where it all started for them.
They're the way they controlled the line of scrimmage, even against Alabama a couple of those times, was very, very impressive. Their offensive line last year, you could tell a lot of new guys. Now they think they're going to be better this year as far as just experience, but those guys kind of look like they were deer in the headlights, kind of like we don't know what we're doing. When you lose upperclassmen, though, it's so hard for young guys to step right in. So I expect Clemson to bounce back with a vengeance this year.
Yeah, and they may be their totals in their games will probably be fairly low, obviously because of their defense and the questionable offense. So they might be a team to look at to play some unders in early.
That Georgia Tech game's definitely worth a look at an under. Georgia Tech is a disaster. We'll probably talk about them a little bit, but they got a lot of problems. They were the team that was changing over. Now they're in the 4th season of changing over from the Paul Johnson option type team to a regular, more pro style offense. But you're recruiting players. It takes a while to build that up, and they've really struggled on offense the past few years.
Yeah, so if I was playing that, I'd play them over the win total.
I don't love it because they got a couple danger games there, but I think if they get that offense together at all, there's no reason why they can't run the table. To be honest with you,
once again, we'll see out there Georgia Tech if they can move the ball and score some points, then there won't be as many question marks offensively. But if they struggle to score and Georgia Tech stays in the game in a low-scoring game, there's going to be a lot of doubters for Clemson again. So
totally.
Again, I'd stay away from it. I'd lean to the over. But
what do you think, Luke? Just right around the 10?
I'd stay away from it.
I agree. I think it's a little risky not knowing what will happen on offense.
Yep.
All right, next team to talk about, my Miami Hurricanes. I don't know. They're getting a lot of hype right now because Mario Cristobal returns to his alma mater to take over as a coach. He's done a great job recruiting at Oregon. Oregon still has a lot of good players left over from him. I wasn't ever really wild about the way he coached games for Oregon. I thought they really gave away some games, some just silly things. I don't know if you guys remember. I remember this game in the Pine Room, one of the few Pac-12 games I remember being here for the duration. That game against Stanford when they were winning the game at the end and they were running the ball instead of kneeling it and they fumbled.
Yes.
And Stanford ended up beating them. I haven't seen a mistake like that from a coach in a long time, and that worries me as a fan. I'm anxious to get what you guys, your guys' opinion on it. I think Miami will be improved. They're getting players, but I wouldn't expect a ton out of them this year.
I mean, do you like them the win total? I mean, they're right around.
I think I went through their games, and tried to be as objective as I possibly could, and I came up with at least 8 wins.
So it's going to be right around that.
So
number.
I think they absolutely can get over their win total. I'm just not expecting any of them any progress as far as winning the ACC or anything like that. I just don't think they're good enough. Van Dyke is a good quarterback. He kind of came out of nowhere last year, so they're happy to have him. But they have a lot of skilled position players to replace, and the defense has a lot of guys that they're going to have to replace in the secondary and stuff too. So I don't know. I think they'll be all right. I think maybe 9 or 10 they can win, but
I think it'll be them and Pitt in the coastal side of that ACC. I think those two, and they play. They play the last game of the year.
Yeah. It's normally that's become a signature end of the year game.
Staple.
Usually, yeah, they usually end the year with Pitt. Yeah, I don't know. Miami. I tell you what game I'm interested in early on in the season is to see how they perform against Texas A&M.
At A&M.
A&M's getting a lot of hype, and I actually think Miami will be dangerous in that game. I expect that line to go up towards it's probably about 5 right now. I would expect it to go up towards 6, 6.5. I think people are loving this Texas A&M team way too much. I'm not a believer in Jimbo Fisher at all. I think he's a good recruiter, but I'm not really sold on him. He really only ever did anything on a national stage the one year he had Jameis Winston. So I don't know. I think it'll be an interesting game. See how Miami does in that game, and that can kind of maybe see where they're going to be for this season. Luke,
yeah, because if they can get past that game, then they got North Carolina at Virginia Tech, Middle Tennessee, so they could
probably win the next 4 games before they head to Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, and they should win at Virginia, I would think. I mean,
they'll be favored in that game. Virginia is dangerous because of their offense, but yeah, Miami should win that game, but. You know, you said, Coach. These ACC, they're pretty evenly matched teams. A lot of them. So you got, there's not going to be many weeks off other than when you played maybe Duke, Georgia Tech, those teams like that.
I would play Miami over their win total. I look at their schedule and I think they've got definitely 6 wins for sure that stand out to me. And then, I mean, at Georgia Tech, they should win that game. I mean. At Virginia, there's a good chance they'll win that game. So I like for them to win 9 games. I think they'll win. I think they'll win 9 games, Miami.
Yeah, I agree. I really like Van Dyke. I think he can be a first-round pick this year, to be honest.
I hope he stays around for another year, but he probably won't.
I believe in Cristobal. Actually, I liked him in Oregon. I know he did some dumb stuff, but he recruits well there.
He got the players. There's no doubt about that.
The defense led by Leonard Taylor on that front, who's a rising sophomore who also has the potential to be a first-round caliber pick.
Yep.
I think they'll get the win total as well. I think they'll beat A&M because I agree, Matt, on there. I'm not high on this A&M team.
Yeah.
They got a lot of 5-stars this year, but you don't come in as a freshman and just be dominant unless
I feel
you're
like
really
people
good.
were blinded by the fact that they beat Alabama last year.
Yeah.
Okay, Alabama's not going to play perfect every game, but yeah, I mean, they haven't done anything to make me think they're good. I mean, Texas A&M has had issues scoring. Their quarterback play's been really suspect, even when they had 4-year starters. I mean, I don't know. I think, I agree with you guys. I think Miami probably an overplay. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. They're at least going to make things exciting again. The recruiting has been really good, and they also got rid of the damn turnover chain, which is great.
Oh, good.
He said that.
Good.
You know, Miami is a program that shouldn't need that crap. They don't need gimmicks like that. And I mentioned it when we were talking about Big 12, and even when the first week when we talked about the Pac-12. College football to me is better when USC's good, Texas is good, Miami's good. At least up there contending, not being teams that are going 5-6 or 6-6 every year. So hopefully my Canes can do decent this year, but we'll see.
Well, I hope for you they do, because I hate to see you get
keep us around.
Well, you've sort of been a realist here the last couple of years, so you don't get quite as upset as when when they underachieve.
I'm with Luke. Back in the young days, man, when we were good, it was heartbreaking. It was so heartbreaking when they would have bad games or lose. And I've just gotten numb to it recently. So next team we're going to talk about, how about NC State, the Wolfpack? Tons of hype about this team. I'm not really a buyer. I'm anxious to see what you guys think.
I like them. I like them. I think they're going to be good. I think they'll be right there at the end of the year. I have their win total at
very senior heavy team.
Yeah, yes. I have their win total
8.5.
8.5. Yeah, 8.5, and I like that over a lot.
Devin Leary's a good quarterback.
He is very good,
but only 5 starters returning on that defense, which I know some of them have NFL caliber talent, but skilled positions too. I think they'll get the win total, but still, they're just question mark. You don't know about them yet.
Right. I went through their games, and I could make a case for them to almost win every game on their schedule, but I also think that they could lose. I think Clemson obviously would be a very tricky game for them, but they I can make a case either way. They could lose. I think that game against East Carolina will be tricky for them. They should win that game, but I tell you what, a lot of good teams have went to East Carolina and stubbed their toe over the years. So I'd keep an eye on that from a line standpoint. I'm not sure they'll lose the game, but I'd take a look at East Carolina if that line continues to go up. I think I had it at 12 right now. So
I think it's right at 12.
But no, Coach, I think this team has the talent to be pretty good. again, with these 50-50 games, I mean, they could easily start the year out 4-0 before they go to Clemson. Don't you agree?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Charleston, like you say, that East Carolina is going to be tricky at East Carolina. Then Charleston, Southern, Texas Tech, Connecticut, all home.
Bad teams.
They should all. They'll be
40-point favorites against Southern and UConn, and then Texas Tech's program, as we talked about last week, is in shambles.
Correct.
So if you get by East Carolina, you go 4-0. You're going to Clemson. That's going to be tough. But then you get Florida State at home, and then if NC State, like in my opinion, teams like them, they can't quite get over the hump. They always stub their toe at Syracuse, Louisville, or North Carolina. Those 3 road games. Can they win 2 out of those 3? And then they're legit. They're a contender if they can do that.
And they have Wake too. So Wake's going to be Wake's.
And that's at home. So at least that's at home.
Yeah, but I like them. I like NC State over the total. You like them, Luke?
Yes, I do. At the end of the day, I think they'll get the win total. I think their schedule's easy.
I agree.
No,
I agree.
I think if they, I say, get by East Carolina, those next 3 games, doesn't get much easier than that now. So
yeah, I agree.
I think they have some of their tougher games at home too. So I think they'll beat Virginia Tech, Boston College, like you say, Wake Forest game will be 50-50. But yeah, we'll see. NC State should be a definite team that could make some noise in the ACC. So keep an eye on them. Next team we'll talk about. How about right in our backyard here, Pitt. Unbelievably tough opening game here, where they're going to probably be almost in an underdog atmosphere in their home stadium against the Mountaineers. I am way down on Pitt this year. I know they're getting the quarterback in. I thought they lost a lot.
I'm down. I'm with you.
I do not like this team at all. I've never been a fan of Pat Narduzzi as a coach. I feel like they got very lucky last year. They had a 7th-year quarterback in a Clemson team that was the worst on offense that they've ever been. So I think they took advantage of that last year, and I'm not a Pitt backer by any means. Luke, what are you thinking?
I wouldn't say I'm down on them, but I'm not high on them. I think losing Jordan Addison, it was a big loss. But Keaton Slovis, they got probably one of the best offensive lines in the country.
Yeah.
Skill positions will be an issue, but I think they'll be fine. But I agree with you guys. I don't think they'll get the win total.
I thought it was interesting. The O-line returns all 5 starters, and they changed offensive coordinators and went to a guy who's notoriously a run-heavy offensive coordinator. So I think maybe some unders could be in Pitt's future with a solid defense and a team that could be relying on running the ball, a quarterback that's coming into a new system, has some talent, definitely, but can he get enough out of his skill position players to make them a contender in the conference? I don't know, Coach. What are your thoughts?
I look at that first game, like you said, West Virginia. It's really awesome to see that rivalry renewed.
Yes.
And that's on a Thursday night. So that's going to be interesting. I think the Mountaineers, honestly, and I've already bet the Mountaineers.
Right, we talked about it last week. You and I both like it.
I like the Mountaineers.
I think they'll win the game.
And now the line has moved to 7 as the last I saw.
Got 7 right now, yep.
Yeah, and then they have Tennessee, game 2.
And that was a great game they played against them last year. Really back and forth type game.
So that's it. I mean, literally, they could be 0-2 right there. There's a legitimate chance they could be 0-2.
Tennessee's a bunch of frauds, though.
Yeah, I am not a backer of Tennessee when we talk SEC, but with Pitt, I'm not certain on them either. So SEC talent could win out on that.
But of all the teams I mean, those first 2 games are not usually these teams have a cupcake in one of the first 2 weeks.
Yes.
And West Virginia, and like you said, Matt, there's going to be more West Virginia fans there than Pitt fans, and then Tennessee. That's that's not easy. No. I know I'm not a Tennessee lover either, but I think that'll be very, very difficult.
And Pitt, there's a lot to be said about teams that play in pro stadiums, and my Miami team is one of them. And I've been down there many, many times, and whether the stadium's nice or not, sometimes the college atmosphere in a pro stadium is just not good.
Exactly.
It's just not. And Pitt doesn't have a home field advantage at all. They really don't. So that Tennessee game, they got them at home, but you can't. When you're thinking about teams like Pitt, you probably have to say, like, well, if I like them, a team's a little bit better at home or would favor them at home, you can't give a home field advantage to them. I don't feel.
And they got to go. They have to go to Louisville. They have to go to North Carolina, and they got to go to Miami.
They go to Virginia and Miami. Their road games in the conference are not easy. They could lose all 4 of those games.
I agree.
North Carolina's going to be a little bit down, but those are tricky. So
I agree. I agree. I think they won't. I don't think they'll get to their win total.
I had them between 6 and 8 wins, leaning towards 7. But I'd highly recommend them to be an under team.
I agree with that.
Don't see them getting to 9 wins.
I totally agree with that. Yes.
All right, we're unanimous on the Panthers. Next team, how about Florida State? Seminoles, there's a lot of pressure on the program right now. It takes a while for a coach to come into Florida State and be able to build them up. But Norvell came in really highly touted, and he's not really performed up to expectations yet. I'm anxious to see what you guys think about the Seminoles. I mean, they got talent. They hit up the transfer portal. Who's their quarterback, Luke?
Jordan Travis. He's all right. He's a dual threat kind of guy.
I think he went 5-2 to end the year when he took over as a starter. So I mean, he showed some signs, but I wasn't impressed with the way he threw the ball down the field at all.
I thought they were terrible last year.
Yeah,
I literally thought I didn't even think they were good. I thought they were terrible.
They were painful. If you bet them last year, any of you that had Florida State in games last year, like we had a few times, it was hard to watch because you never ever felt good in the game, no matter what. They labored the whole game to even stay competitive. So.
I just thought they were awful. Just like you said, painful to watch. I thought they were boring. There was no, you couldn't find any continuity with what they do.
And their win total sits about 6.5.
I see them being better, but I don't like them to get over that win total.
Yeah, and they're taking some. I was looking at some of these this morning. They've been taking. They're starting to get juiced pretty good towards the over 6.5 up to like -150. So I was surprised at that. I thought, well, obviously they open up with Duquesne, but then they got to play Brian Kelly, Luke, and LSU, and I just feel like LSU will have better players than them. And I think Brian Kelly, I trust him more as a coach. I expect them to lose that game. Then they go to Louisville. I mean, like we've been going through, this ACC is kind of a grind conference. Yes. Like if you don't separate yourself, I mean, you could lose several of these games. I mean, you got 8 games in a row you can maybe lose.
I think it's a fun conference. I think
it is. It's a very evenly matched. Other than you take Clemson out of the mix, and you pretty much have a lot of teams that are kind of the same. I don't know. I'm not a Florida State person, but. Again, that's another team you'd like to see them start to come back up to being decent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the Miami-Florida State game in its old days when I was a kid, it was like an NFL exhibition. It was just guys everywhere, first-round picks, both sides of the ball, really fun. But it's not been that way for either program.
Yeah, and I would lean towards the total to be under their wins.
I think
I don't think
I'll
bet
may
it,
get to 6. But I would stay away. It's probably a game.
Yeah, I don't think I'll bet it, but it's. I hope they're better. Right. And I hope they're more fun to watch because
exactly.
Maybe
they'll cover a few times for us. Yeah. But moving on, let's go down to Louisville. They're again team Satterfield, the coach, starting to face some heat. They've had some decent teams, but they just can't seem to put together a full season on both sides of the ball since Lamar Jackson left. I think Cunningham, the quarterback's been there for how many years? About 5 years.
Luke likes this team.
I like this. This is my sleeper team.
I think they're dangerous. I can make a strong case, Luke. I agree. I agree with you.
I like Cunningham. I like their OC. Actually, their OC was our running back coach. He just moved over. Yasir Abdullah on the defensive side, who's a first-round caliber pick. I like Louisville over 6.5 a lot. They always got those speedy guys you just don't know about on the offense and defense side.
They do, and I found this interesting. I was reading, and if this kid actually showed up, the kid that was the Atlantic Sun Player of the Year named Tyler Hudson from Central Arkansas, absolute stud receiver that they got from the transfer portal, and he's supposed to come in and just be one of the better receivers in the entire ACC. So that'll be interesting to see. Again, this is a team that you can make a case for them to start out the season pretty good, but they got 2 tricky road games. Going to Syracuse, never easy out of the gate, and then you got at UCF. I mean, that's so a tricky start for them. But if they can get a little momentum going, maybe they go 2-1 out of those first 3 games, and they get USF, and then a little bit of an easier lull in their schedule. But I don't know. I kind of thought they could win anywhere between 5 and 7 games. I don't have the confidence Luke had, but I could definitely see this team making some noise.
Luke, you're heavy on that over. Correct?
Yes, I just think good quarterback play just contributes to a lot, and I think they got a really good quarterback. So I think he can lead this team and just create.
What are they like defensively? Do you have any idea?
I know that the edge Yasir Abdullah, he's a first-round caliber player.
Written down,
but I don't really know much about them defense. They've never really been a defensive.
Just reading here real quick of some of the notes that I had. It says they got 6 guys that were supposed to make an impact in the portal defensively. So I feel like they were a team last year, and I had them a few times. They could score, but they would always give up. They would score, and then they would give up a big play like the next drive, and it just drove me nuts because you can never get in a safe spot as a bettor where you're feeling comfortable in that game at all, or whoever they were playing. It was like a seesaw. They'd hit on a big play, and then they'd give up a big play, and they didn't have a whole lot of stability. But I agree with Cunningham. He's very talented. He makes plays with his feet, with his arm. They definitely could surprise some people, and they have an offense that could knock off any of these teams in the league, maybe for the exception of Clemson, who they got to go to Clemson. But I mean, I think Louisville. I could see where Luke's coming from.
So Luke, you're giving that out heavy steam.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's my lock, but I think they're a sleeper team in the ACC just because of good quarterback play. But there's a lot of good quarterback play this year in the ACC.
Yep, there is. Definitely. Moving on to a team with a good quarterback themselves, Wake Forest. Demon Deacons, coach.
This is my sleeper team. I think that they went undefeated at home last year. They were the champs of the Atlantic Division. I think they're going to be very, very good. I look for them to score a lot of points. Yep. They're going to probably give up a lot of points. Play them over the total. I'm telling you, they're going to.
Yeah, I remember a few times last year in games with them. Absolute seesaws. I mean, they were giving up points to some teams that you would never even expect to be able to score points.
Well, I'm looking here last year. Their first 6 games, 42, 41, 35, 37, 37, 40, 70.
I know. That's the game I was thinking of, Army. Because I was like, my God, Army. Who in the world would ever think Army plays in a 70-56 game? That's unheard of for a team that runs the ball like they do. And I remember being up here during that game, and I think Nick might have had the under in that game. I think there was somebody was on the under in that game because I remember it was like by the time I got up here, when I picked Champ up when I was done work, I picked him up, I brought him up, and by halftime I think the game was over the total already.
I think Nick did have it under.
Somebody had it under. I remember because it's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then he scored. And then he scored 58. They got beat, or 55. They got beat 58-55. Carolina scored 45. Scored 40. 27, 41. I mean, they're going to put up
they
points.
Put up 27 on Clemson.
Yes.
I mean, a top 10 defense in the country last year. That's impressive. Yeah, they definitely have the offensive prowess to really do some damage. Sam Hartman is a very good quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, barring injuries or anything crazy, I don't see how they don't get to at least 9 wins.
I agree.
And I think they can win as many as 11. Luke, what do you think?
I like Sam Hartman. Defense is just not good.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't be counting on many stops. Like Coach said, play those games over, have a little fun. Yeah, they're gonna win some shootouts. They're out of conference games. They got to play Army again. I'll be anxious to see if that turns out to be like last year. I doubt it because Army will probably try to take the clock and grind it out. But VMI, Vandy, Liberty will be a little tricky. They're on a bad program. But,
right. I think they'll win. I think they'll win 10 games. I do. I think they'll win 10. I'm gonna play them heavy, and
they get Clemson at home. They don't have to play Miami. I mean, not that that's a big game, but it could be. But
folks, that's so.
Coach likes Wake. That's
if you got a chance to get on Wake, at the number they're at right now, which is 8, I'm recommending that highly. Not too highly, but I like it.
Take a little shot on them.
If you usually bet $5, bet 10.
Right. Controlled bankroll.
Yes.
Bankroll management.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, I think we're all under the same thought process here with Wake Forest. So. All right, on to North Carolina, the Tar Heels. This is a team that I don't want to discredit Mac Brown because he's a really good coach and he has been. But last year, they remind me of Iowa State. They were so highly touted last year. Howe is talked about as being the Heisman front runner at the beginning of the season, and they were dreadful last year. And I'm not a backer of this team at all. They have to replace a lot, and I'm down on North Carolina. I would definitely be leaning to the under on their win total.
I'm with you. I agree with that. I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be much improved from last year. I don't see. I read over their offense, defense, and I don't think there's much improvement there. I'm with you, Matt. I think they're going to be under the total.
Luke, what are you seeing on their quarterback situation? I saw they had 2 kids in there.
Jacoby Criswell and Drake May. Drake May was highly talented out of high school, but again, just like Florida State last year, you can't be through week 5 and have 2 quarterbacks playing and still have a quarterback competition. That's just not going to work.
No, because that's what they used to say. 2 quarterbacks is like having no quarterbacks.
Yeah,
because you're never going to get continuity with your offense and get your players all on the same page.
But Josh Downs does have game-changing
I got him.
speed.
He's legit. He's one of the better wide receivers in the country. I went through their schedule a few times. I could not get past 7 wins. I thought more around 5 wins.
Yes.
So I'm not a Tar Heel backer. I think they're. I look for that second game of the season when they go to App State. I could see them losing that.
Oh,
game.
They'll have their hands full there.
I could definitely see them
100%.
losing that game because that game will mean a ton to App State. If they can knock them off, that would be a huge win for their program. So, Luke, what do you think when you take them in? What is that, week 4 or 5? You guys got them.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to. Our offense isn't going to be great, but I think we'll be able to score. And our defense is supposed to be a top 5 defense.
Right now, it looks like you'd be around a 7-point favorite in that game. I would be all over your Irish in that game. So we'll see how that goes. Next team to talk about as it gets a little cloudy here. Jubb, what are you seeing on the radar?
Little ominous weather moving in on us.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's I'm getting a little wet over here.
Yeah,
we're good for a minute or two. We can talk about the Virginia Cavaliers here.
Sure.
The Cavaliers, this team had an incredible offense last year, and they couldn't stop anybody either. So they have to replace their entire offensive line. And ironically, last night I was flipping through the channels, and I saw their spring game was on ACC Network. Their offensive line was a disaster. Armstrong, the quarterback, ran for his life like every play. So unless they got some guys from the portal last April, they were not in very good shape on the offensive line. So I think that could be a concern for them. A team that could score, but I just don't have enough faith in them to get stops. What are you guys thinking?
Oh, I'm with you. I don't like them. I think the only thing is their schedule is their schedule's a little better this year.
Yes.
Their non-conference opponents are definitely winnable games.
Definitely. Richmond, Illinois, and then ODU.
And then Coastal.
And that ODU's at home, and I think they play Coastal towards the end of the year.
Towards the end of the year. So I look. And their road games. At Syracuse, definitely a winnable game. At Duke.
Yes.
At Georgia Tech.
Those are all winnable games.
At Virginia
Tech.
Yeah,
and that's a rivalry game, so you know that game will be close regardless most of the time.
What do you say there, Luke? What do you think?
I'm gonna go with the under, but I feel like they have the possibility of getting that over 7.5 just because they have one of the best receiver duos in the nation, and Brennan Armstrong. I mean, he threw for like crazy amount of yards last year, but I would probably lean towards the under, but also I think they're a team that could get the over.
I do think Tony Elliott's going to do a good job there. I think they'll eventually start to improve. It might take them a year or two. They might not be ready to do it this year, but I had them between 7 and 9. I would not bet them under, and I don't love them over,
right.
So it'd be kind of a sit down for me. I think they could be a team that could surprise some people, but they could also, they could also lay some eggs on the road. I think.
I would stay. I'm staying away from that one. I don't have a strong feel either way. Even though I think with their schedule, they could get to 8 wins maybe.
Right.
But I'm gonna stay away from that.
Yep.
one.
I agree. I think we're all kind of in the pass. Proceed with caution when it comes to the Cavaliers this year. On to the next squad. Boston College.
Yes, this is my team.
Now
right
you don't like this quarterback there, if I remember, or do you? Didn't he come from Notre Dame?
Yeah, Phil
Jurkovec.
Yeah. He was. We did him dirty. Kelly did him dirty, but. I really like this offense. Phil Jurkovec, he has a lot of talent. He actually could be a first-round pick. He's built like an NFL quarterback. They got Zay Jones, who I actually really respect. He got all those NIL offers.
Right.
And
we talked about him on the podcast.
Yes, and decided to stick around just because he wanted to be loyal.
That was, I think that was Chris's cold mug one night about him. So, yeah, shout out to Zay.
Yeah, but defense struggles. But I love the over. This would be my lock.
I thought this team was pretty good last year, and then your buddy got hurt. Yeah. And they were a team that I saw some signs that I liked them as a cover team. They ran the ball well. Their line played pretty strong. They were always in the games. They just didn't have enough firepower without him there at the quarterback spot to be able to score. I thought Boston College was dangerous too. I could see them getting to 7 wins. again, I don't feel great about it, but I definitely think they're an up-and-coming team.
They do have to replace the whole offense.
Yeah, no, that's never easy, but who knows? Maybe that was one of the things I liked about them last year. So hopefully they got some guys that can play right away. Coach, what do you think?
I'm up in the air. I'm not as strong as Luke on BC, even though I do like the quarterback.
Yeah.
Their schedule, I don't know. You know, when you're talking when you're talking about 6.5 wins, you go through their schedule. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be tough for them to get to 7 wins. Yeah. I mean, they got to go to Wake, they got to go to NC State, they got to go to Notre Dame,
Florida State, Virginia.
They got
Tech.
to go to Florida State. I mean.
Yeah, they're going to have to get a couple of nice road wins, no doubt, because they have a difficult road schedule for sure.
Yeah, and they got Clemson at home, they got Louisville at home.
Right.
So I don't know, Luke. You think definitely they're going to? You like them to go over their win total?
I think they could upset NC State easily. To be honest,
I don't disagree with that. I am very anxious to see how their second game of the year turns out, though, at Virginia Tech.
Yeah,
and we're going to probably talk about them next. But I'm not a Virginia Tech backer at all, and I think they're starting to. Their program is headed downward, so I'm anxious to see how Boston College will do in that spot at Tech. West Virginia plays Virginia Tech early in the year down there as well, so lots to keep an eye on there for BC. They got a good quarterback and just a lot of uncertainty in other spots, but I agree. I think they could be dangerous. Moving on, let's go to Syracuse. The Orange supposedly have an incredible recruiting class as Dino Babers is starting to face some pressure now. He brought a little bit of life. They had an upset and win over Clemson a couple years ago, and got the people excited about Syracuse football again. But it wasn't a great year last year. Going through their, I had an incredible range on them when I went through their games. One time I went through, I came up with just 2 wins. The other time I went through, I came up with 8. So
wow,
yeah, no, isn't that amazing? So that says stay away for me. I do think Syracuse is a dangerous team to play on the road. So teams that go up there, I'd keep an eye on them from a game betting standpoint. As far as the win total goes, what do you guys see them at? 5, around 5? I think a 5 most.
That's
places.
what I had them.
Yeah.
That's what I had.
I couldn't make a strong case for either way, but it wouldn't surprise me if they won 6, and it wouldn't surprise me if they only won 3. So. What do you guys?
Yeah,
say?
I'm with you there. I don't see them. I don't know. I was leaning more towards 4 wins for them.
Right.
So that's where I had them at 4 wins. But as you said, they could win 5, maybe 6. But I don't see them. But they will be able to run the football. But what did you say? Their whole offensive line was.
I don't know what I had on them. See, no, I don't know.
Okay.
D line, I know they lost a lot on that. They got nothing on the defensive line.
They got a really good
all
running
4
back.
starters. They do. What the heck's his name?
Sean Tucker.
Yeah, he had a really good year
Tucker.
last year.
Yeah, so I don't like them. I don't like them either way on the total. I'm staying away from 4.5 there.
Luke, what are your thoughts on the Orange?
I think they'll go under. I think they're fighting for one of the worst teams in the ACC, to be honest.
Yeah, and their schedule doesn't do them any favors. I mean, they got a tough opening game. They'll win at UConn, and then they got to play Purdue. I mean, that's not going to be easy, even though it's at home. And then the only other game I was certain they'd win was Wagner, but I could see them upsetting somebody like Pitt or something. They could beat those teams maybe, but yeah, I mean, they got to play Notre Dame. They got to go to Clemson.
Florida State
not an easy,
at Wake.
Not an easy schedule
Wake,
for them.
no.
They're really going to have to get something out of some new talent on their roster that's going to have to be kind of something that no one expected for them to be able to win more than 5 games, I'd say. So moving along, let's go to Virginia Tech. I mentioned them a few minutes ago. I'm way down this team. I think West Virginia will take care of them down there. I have no faith in them. I think this program, it's weird. You see it in sports a lot when you have a coach, a legendary coach that's been there for so long, and he's done so well. It's impossible to follow him with success. You see it in all levels, pro, college, whatever sport it will be. And then since Frank Beamer's left, this team's just never been able to get any momentum going, and I don't see it happening this year either.
Yeah, and we got their total at, what do we have?
I have 6.5, and I thought that was absurdly high. I saw a few 6s out there too now because people were starting to hit it under.
I have it at 6, and I don't see them getting to 6 wins. I don't see them, even though they They start out at Old Dominion.
ODU beat them a few. Remember that? We were up here for that game.
Yes. Wofford, I mean, but again, you never know. There's upsets.
So many coin flip games.
Yes,
in this league.
yes. West Virginia will be a coin flip. They got them at home.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't see them getting to 6 wins. Luke, what do you say?
I don't, but I do like Grant Wells, who transferred from Marshall. I think he went to George Washington High School.
Yeah.
I do like him, but I just
it'll be an upgrade there. I would
but playing
say
at Lane Stadium's tough, man. That atmosphere just makes you want to play.
It is, but when they were good, it was really tough. But now it's like they play the Enter Sandman and they're getting beat. Like I don't know, but I agree. It's a cool atmosphere. I mean, I hate it. I'd never recommend anybody go to that place. But anyway. I
see them not getting to their win total. Definitely.
Yeah, I would definitely lean under on Georgia or Virginia Tech. Yeah. Sorry, on to Georgia Tech. Yellow Jackets. They're up against it as usual. They've never really got any traction going with this coach, and I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on them. I just don't see many wins. I just don't see how they can get wins.
If they had Jahmyr Gibbs still, who transferred to Alabama, it would be one of the best running backs in the nation.
And it's amazing. They're talking at Bama like he's one of the best backs they've ever had.
He's so good.
He was a one-man show for Georgia Tech last year, and now when you lose your best player to Alabama, you're in trouble.
Jeff Sims is good. He's their quarterback. He was a 4-star out of high school. I do like him, but just not enough playmakers around to win games.
Yeah, I like this team under the total.
Do you have 3.5?
I had it at yes, I believe that's exactly where I had it.
Yeah,
yes.
I found it hard to find more than 2, maybe 3 wins because look, they're out of conference. Does them no favors. I mean, they got Western Carolina, but they got Ole Miss and UCF, which they'll lose both of those. That's tough.
I don't see them winning 3 games.
And then Georgia to end the year. How about that?
Jeez.
Out of conference.
I don't see them winning 3 games.
I don't either. I had 2. I had Western Carolina and Duke.
And I'm with you, Luke. If they wouldn't have lost a running back, they would have been I would have probably liked them, obviously, better, but I don't see them very good at all.
Yeah, he was like the one-man show for them on offense. I don't know what the hell they're going to do this year. It's going to be a struggle for them. And moving on to the final team, Duke Blue Devils, another team undergoing a lot of transition here. No more David Cutcliffe. This is a team going through their schedule. I found it really hard to find over 3 wins for them. What are your guys' thoughts?
Luke likes them. Luke likes their coach.
I don't know about the win total, but I like Elko. I think we'll have that. They're recruiting really well right now. Elko, former Notre Dame and Texas A&M defensive coordinator. Right. He did well. He did well at both programs. I think we'll be able to run a program. I'm actually surprised he hasn't been a head coach yet.
I saw a lot of great things about him. But one thing that concerns me a lot is when you looked at their top offensive weapons that are returning. Charlie Hamm, the kicker, was listed as the top offensive weapon. He was 14 of 20 in field goal tries last year. So if they don't have somebody that scores a little more than Charlie, they could be in trouble. But no, I agree. I think the coach Elko could be a decent hire. We'll see. They could make a little progress this year, but still getting 4 wins to get them over that win total that's going to be tough. We go to Kansas, Nick's Jayhawks. I think the Jayhawks will take care of you. Guys are going to be dependent on that game, Coach, to get that Kansas win total over. That was one you were probably counting on.
That is going to be definitely a big game for us.
That's going to be a bloodbath. I think it'll be really close.
That'll be on the biggest TV.
Yeah, here. Right. That's like the game of the week up here. That's
if they lose, Nick won't. He'll be devastated the rest of the night. He'll be in the back corner. Sitting down.
And Duke lost their last 8 games last year. They started out 3-1 and lost their last 8 games. So they got a lot of holes to fill. And I look at that schedule and I just think it's going to be a really difficult task for them to get to 3 wins. Yep. I don't see it. And like you say, if they don't beat Kansas,
right,
which they'll probably be a dog, pretty solid underdog at Kansas. So
yeah, but like Luke said though. On the road at Duke, maybe as the season goes on, they start getting some experience. The coach, maybe he gets some momentum, and maybe they knock off a couple of these teams. So they could always play spoiler. So teams like Duke, where you're thinking they're not going to be very good, keep an eye on them as the year goes on, and maybe towards the end of the year they're starting to threaten on covering spreads each week. So,
but I'm playing them. I'm playing the Blue Devils under their win total.
What overall thoughts before we wrap it up on the ACC? You guys think it's Clemson's to have as far as the conference, or would you take a shot on an NC State or a Wake Forest or a Louisville even to win the league? Just curious on your thoughts about that.
Well, I like Wake. Wake, and I know Luke likes
Wake,
like NC.
Wake 20-1. You could find some 20-1s to win the ACC. I think that's a pretty good number.
That's my ACC play of the year. The future play of the year is Wake Forest over their win total of 8. Whether they can win that side of the knock Clemson out again, I doubt it. But I like them to be very, very good, and I'm playing them as my top play.
Okay, so you're on Wake as your top.
Wake is my top.
What's your top one, Luke? Do you have something?
BC and Louisville.
Okay, you like them both. Parlay those, yeah.
Yes.
Over their win totals.
Over
right?
their win totals.
Yeah, and I'm Virginia Tech under their win total. If you can find 6.5 out there, try to find that. They're starting to drop down to 6s now, but I'd still take that. I don't see them winning more than 6. You get a push, get your money back if that's the case, but try to find that half if you can. Guys, any closing thoughts on the Atlantic Coast? Or
and that's our Pine Room dog Evie. I don't know whether she's trying to chime in now and give her best pick, but that's her, by the way. She's a staple here in the Pine Room. So I think it's fun. Again, I like the conference. I think it's a fun conference.
Yep,
I think it's as you said, Matt, there's a lot of coin flip games. There's a lot of fun games. There's some teams that can score some points and make it fun. There's some good rivalries. There's some teams coming back that haven't been very good in a while, and I think it's going to be a fun year in the ACC.
Lots of intrigue, definitely.
What about you, Luke? What do you think?
I agree. I think there's a lot of teams that are just solid, but none of them are going to be.
Right.
I think Clemson's going to be the great team, but I think everyone else is just solid.
Yep.
And I think there will be a lot of upsets, to be honest.
Yep. Curious to see who will be the dark horse. There's always a surprise team, so maybe it'll be one of your teams, Luke. So anyway, we're going to take a break here on Bettor's Last Stand and come back and talk a little NFL with the NFC South, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes. All right.
Reminder, Bettor's Last Stand is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activity should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. You're watching Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back to Bettor's Last Stand, Episode 3 here. We've escaped the rains, I think, for the time being, so we're going to talk here about the NFC South. First, though, just to remind you of a couple things coming up, Pine Room related. Next week on WKKX, as we mentioned earlier in the show, we have our Monday 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern time slot beginning. We're going to talk high school football, local sports. It's going to be really fun. Going to be down in their studio downtown. That begins Monday, so we're really excited about that. We have a live show for high school football up at Scaffidi's in Steubenville, and that is on Jub the 10th now. Is that correct? We moved that to Wednesday the 10th of August?
Yes, correct.
Okay, do we have a time on that yet?
I don't think we've been solidified yet. But
so we're waiting on the time, so keep a lookout. We'll mention it on the podcast. We'll mention it, as many things as we can. We'll mention it on the show next week at WKKX. We'll have it on social media. You can follow us at the Pine Room Podcast on all the social media. You can email us, contact at the Pine Room Podcast. We have that show, as mentioned, at Scaffidi's August 10th. And then the following week here in Wheeling, we're going to do a similar show. We're going to have some high school teams and coaches from the Wheeling area stop by Generations, and we're going to talk to them about their upcoming season. So a lot of cool things going on with the Pine Room Podcast and Bettor's Last Stand, guys.
Yeah, and this shirt Matt has on, you can go onto our store in the Pine Room.
PineRoomShop.com.
Pine Room Shop. And we're starting to get a little bit of rain.
I spoke too soon.
We are getting some raindrops here in the Pine Room, but we'll...
a typical lip job by me. As I said, we escaped the rains. And here they come.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be too bad. I think we'll be able to struggle through. Hopefully our equipment, I don't know, Job's going to probably have to throw something over top of the mixer board.
You want us to take a quick break?
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back into Bettor's Last Stand. the skies have opened up. As soon as I mentioned we were in good shape, here it comes. But we're going to go through the NFC South really quickly. Just hit on some of the stuff we got coming up this week, so be sure to stay tuned to the regular podcast and check out all our social media for the events and shows that we have coming up. Guys, let's dive into this NFC South before a tornado kills us. NFC South, beginning with Atlanta Falcons, which is kind of a man-made tornado. They're probably going to be pretty bad. Well, Arthur Smith and the boys, I'm not a backer. What do you guys think?
Well, as you said, Matt, this is a really bad division. It's not a good division, other than obviously Tampa,
right?
With Brady being back. But I think it's a bad division. I don't look for any of these other three teams to be good. Now, people are saying New Orleans is not going to be bad,
right?
But I think Atlanta will. And Luke, you said it before. You don't see them getting nearly close to 5 wins.
No.
Right. Yeah, five wins could be tough to find for them. Like I was saying, no, sorry, you're right. I was saying that Luke mentioned about if they could maybe not win any games, but I thought maybe they win a couple. But I agree. The 5 is going to be hard to find.
I don't know if that offense can put up points. Besides Drake London, we don't even know if he's going to be good.
And Kyle Pitts, but
yeah.
What can he do? As a tight end, and Marcus Mariota's your quarterback, and you got a rookie coming in that I wasn't impressed with Ritter from Cincinnati. So I don't know. It doesn't look good. Cordero Patterson is your number 1 running back, and he did all right last year. But God, this team, their roster is really bad. The only thing that saves them, as Coach mentioned, I think their division. I think Carolina stinks too, and I think that those games will be even games against Carolina. But yeah, Falcons, they're going to be up against it. They're definitely probably the most likely bottom team in this division. I would definitely. I think we're all in the same thought process as under 5 for them. If you had to make a play on them, under 5. So
I agree.
Moving on to another team that I don't see winning 5 games, Carolina Panthers. I had them anywhere between 2 and 5 wins. I don't think Baker Mayfield helps them much. He's okay, but their roster's not very good. McCaffrey can't play a full season ever. I don't know. Not much here. I'd lean under 6.5 if I had to make a selection. What are you guys thinking?
Go ahead, Luke.
I like the over here, actually. I think they got the Browns week 1. I thought even if Deshaun played, they would have got the Browns week 1. I think Baker's looking for revenge. If McCaffrey can stay healthy, I think they'll get the over easily, to be honest. If he can stay healthy, and their defense isn't bad.
Their defense was very good last year. But again, I kind of factored in McCaffrey wouldn't play a full season because he just never seems to. But no, I agree. Their defense was extremely good last year, so that's definitely a strength of the team. And if Mayfield can do anything offensively to help him move the ball, he's got to be better than Sam Darnold. Coach, what do you think?
I'm looking at their schedule. Obviously, I have looked at their schedule, and I'm with you, Luke. If they can beat the Browns, then they have the Giants,
right,
who aren't very good. And, obviously they have the Falcons twice. So there's possible 4 wins right there, Luke. They've got some other winnable games. They play the Steelers and the Saints. I'm not sold on the Saints either. So I don't know. I'm sort of with you, Luke. There, I think that they could get over their win total.
All right, moving along to the Saints. 8 is where their posted win total is right now. 8 wins even. Jameis Winston, he got that eye surgery, and apparently his interceptions will be down. And he's another guy puts up good stats when he's healthy. I think he makes a lot of mistakes, but maybe he sees the field a little bit better, and maybe he's good. Maybe they're surprising people. I don't know.
Some guys I talk to really like the Saints. With Jameis, they really like the Saints. We are absolutely getting hammered with rain right now. So
Dennis Allen takes over for Sean Payton. That you never know how that'll go. I wasn't a huge Sean Payton guy. I thought he blundered a lot in the playoffs. So be anxious to see what Dennis Allen can do. Luke, what are you thinking?
I like them, actually. This offense with Kamara, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, they drafted in the first round. They got a solid offensive line. I think Winston's, he put up that one year with 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, which is impressive to do.
Right.
The defense, they're all right, but I like them over.
Okay. All right, last team, Tampa Bay, Cooley's Tampa Bucks, as the rains continue to come down here. We're going to be quick. There's not much to talk about here. Tampa is the team to beat. Brady, Evans, Julio Jones to me makes no difference at all. He's an old, worthless bum. But Tampa will be hard to beat, guys. I just don't see anybody knocking them off at the top of the division.
I agree.
And I don't know. If you had to have a best bet here, there's not a whole lot there for me. I thought maybe Jameis Winston over his yardage totals and touchdowns would be worth a shot.
Here's your Super Bowl champs.
Tampa.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to argue with that. So we can't say any more about this right now. We're getting pelted with rain. Poor Jump's holding it together. Thanks to him. Check us out on the podcast this week. We'll remind everybody about things that we wanted to remind them about here, but it's getting wet right now. Thanks for tuning in to Bettor's Last Stand. We brave the elements here in the Pine Room as always, and thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, thanks. See you.